Hello guys, and welcome back. We are back here in the studio, and the last time we showed you around the S1 Pro, and today we are going to talk about the S1. So basically the S1 is a upgraded version, of course, of our retro watches, as the Pro model has some differences, but let's start by looking at the unboxing of it. And inside we can see the brand new S1 model. So inside we have the watch, of course. We also have some function that you have been looking for some time, a USB charger for the watch, and also a quick guide. All manuals can be found and some frequently asked questions on spinso.com, and that's dash manuals or dash FAQ for some questions. And of course, if any, you are of course more than welcome to email us any questions that you may have. Now, let's have a look at the watch. So the last time we showed you the S1 Pro, and this time it's time for the S1 model, which is a little bit simplified version of the S1 Pro. The main difference is that this one doesn't have GPS, but it has a lot of other functions that we are going to show you. We know our retro Pro Watch, and we're going to compare them a little bit to each other. So let's start by having a look at the home screen. Here we have the pulse, the steps, and the calories burnt presented, as well as the connection symbol for the Bluetooth, the battery indication, and of course the time. In the S1 we have some clock faces that you can change by holding in the finger and sliding. Once you have found the one that you want, you just hold in, and there you have it. If you slide down from it, we have the smartwatch interface, which can be set to either vibrate if you want it to be in not disturb mode, any settings, and also a brightness control, for example. This is a smartwatch, and with that comes a lot of new possibilities for us from the retro Pro Watch that we didn't have before. Well, basically we are going to show you what we're really passionate about, which is the referee modes. But inside here we can find the sports mode, and this enables tracking through different kinds of other activities, such as running and walking and so on. We also have, of course, a heart rate monitor. We have a blood pressure monitor, and notification, alarm, timer, and some weather, as well as a thermometer for the S1. But it is the main functions, of course, is the referee modes and the referee watch. If we slide to the side, we can see the Spinso referee modes menu. And if you have seen the S1 Pro menu or the video presentation, then you will recognize this. Basically, it's the interval training, stopwatch, and some activity records, which we will go into a little bit later. And of course, the most important, the referee watch. We have been working really hard to maintain the classic Spinso design while making them modern. As we can see here, my friend Paul is calling me, and this should probably be regarding the video that he's making for me. Also, one thing that we can show you with the retro model is that it's time for a battery change here. But a good thing about the new S1 smartwatches is that they are, of course, chargeable through USB. So something that is really good about this being smartwatches is that we are able to make adjustments and updates to them. This, of course, both applies to the app as well as the watch. So if there will be any program updates available, this will get a notification from your app, but will also be available inside the watch menu. And also now we have added some languages that we can update ourselves, and we will be continue to add on any new languages. If there is anything that you feel is missing, then just let us know. So let's say that I want to have Swedish inside. I'll just press here, confirm. And now we are starting to transfer over Swedish into the watch. So once the language has been transferred to my phone, I will now have Swedish inside. So this is a very cool function because we know that we have a lot of international clients, And with the ability now to change to your language, that is something that we're really, really happy about. And as I said, we will be continue to updating the number of languages, and this is something that we think is really cool with the new watches. If you start by having a look at the referee watch, we have either if you go into a game right away, or we can easily set up some settings for each type of game. We have the youth and we have 2 pro modes that we are going to cover today. And if we compare those into the retro mode, then it will be the same as I will hold in the mode menu, and here we are inside the actual referee watch, which we'll go into a little bit later. In the settings, let's say that I want to change the settings for the Pro 2. Then I have the possibility of changing the number of periods. We can set the period time, and this is also compatible to changing each period time length. Let's say if you want to do the 4 periods for extension time and add on 2 times 50 minutes, that's a possibility. The break time can be set. If it's only 2 periods, of course, it will be only 1 time. But if more periods, then we can set individual break times as well. The indication is how strong the vibration should be. Something that we know that you appreciated with the Retro Pro model, that we use the vibration instead of a sound or beeping sound. We want to use the 5, which is the max. If we go back, then we can choose, as in the Pro model, how we want the watch to be controlled. If we want to be controlled by a short, long, or a double press. My favorite, the double press. So this was how easy it is to set up a Pro game. All right, let's show you the watch in action then. So let's go inside and select the Pro 2, which is the settings that we just set up. And here we have the Pro mode presented in a classic Spinso way, which is of course downtimer, and the total time and the break time is shown here, as well as the indication of the add-on time. Well, if you compare this to the old Retro Pro watch, you can see that it has, of course, its similarities. We wanted to keep the clear Spinso design, but in a modern way. If I do the double press or whatever indication that I chose in the settings, the game has now started. So when we start a game, the screen will lock itself, it becomes single button controlled, and all notifications from the phone are blocked. And this is the way to keep the watch as clear as possible, and also to make sure that it works in rain or any kind of moisture. So if we compare it, if we start the time in the retro mode, you can see the similarities. So we are super happy to have the upgraded, basically the referee watch to the S1. If I do the pause, I will get a vibration indication, and we can see that the add-on time will start to count up. This is something that we are super happy about, and to show you how these similarities we kept, of course, to have it the classic and clear Spinso design that we know that you have appreciated. All the sound when the game started also, of course, is the health data, as in pulse and steps and so on will be calculated. And the main difference between the S1 and the S1 Pro, well, in a Pro mode as per se, is the GPS symbol status, which will be presented once we are, we open up a game. The watch will start to search for the GPS, and the GPS symbol becomes green, then you have a lock. Once we are in a game, as the screen is locked and it's a single button control, it can be good to know that we need to hold the button in for at least 6 seconds to reset the period first, and then hold it in for another 6 seconds to leave the game. And this is thought behind this is that we do not, of course, want any accidental resets of the watch, and therefore, as a safety precaution, we need to hold the button in to go back from a game. Some questions that we have had. Well, we have the Pro 1, we have the Pro 2, and we also have the Youth menu. So what's the difference between the Pro and the Youth then? The Youth menu, we can select the number of periods and the period time, break time, indication, what kind of start to stop, and also with the possibility to add on some team colors as well as penalty time. If I select the home menu to be yellow, and default, the guest is going to be blue, and that's because that's the color of Sweden where Spinso is, the headquarters are located. Penalty time will be 5 minutes for this game. And if we want to change it, of course, we can do that. Let's start the match then with the youth mode. So we kept the classic Spinso design, and also the penalty time will be shown here. If we need to add on any more penalties, we can do so, and once the first one has counted down, the next one will continue, of course, with the penalty 2 marker. This is something that we're really excited about, and everything for the time and the scores will also be exported into the activity record, which will be presented in the watch and the app. So that's the youth mode, and this is something that's brand new for the S1 and the S1 Pro models that you don't have in the retro modes. All right, let's continue. Now that we've seen the referee modes, let's continue the tour and show you the referee mode menu, which is an interval training. We have a stopwatch and the activity record to go. But I want to focus a little bit onto the retro Pro model and show you that the modes that we have presented here, of course, is the game mode. We also have a stopwatch and the regular time function, the watch mode, basically. So these are the modes that we have in the old models, and if you are familiar with our 2X model, which is the SPT 140, we also have the interval training program in the old retro watch. So we wanted to export this and use it in the new S1 model, which we can see from here. Let's start by having a look at the stopwatch. It's also, of course, controlled by a single button. With the total time, we can swap between laps, and we also have our health status down below, which is the heart rate, our steps, and our mean speed. If we start, we now see that either the lap is counting. If we do a short press, we go between laps. If we hold it in for some time, then we have done the whole lap, and then we can swipe between the different kinds of laps here. With the stopwatch timer, this will be exported as an activity record as training inside the watch and app. Well, you can see here that we can use it as for a gym, for a training exercise. And with the S1 Pro, we also have the GPS the status symbol, of course. As we talked about earlier, the main difference between the watches is that the S1 Pro has a GPS. And the health data will also be exported, of course. So this is something that you will find in the old retro models, but of course more modern, both in how it's presented, but also with the health data and the speed and so on. All right, let's continue to explore the watch, and this time we're gonna have a look at something that we know that was really appreciated from our 2X model, which is the interval training. And the interval training can be set up with the settings as with a game. It's very easy to set up. You will set up the numbers of periods, the active training, active resting, and some resting time in between. How you want it to be indicated by a vibration, what kind of strength you want in it. And of course, if you want the screen to be always on, or if you want it to be activated on time, and also for both models, they will be activated on, using the wrist, basically. Once we have set up our training, we go into of course, the whole training. And this is kind of a combination of a game and a stopwatch in between. We have the time that we should be active training as per our settings, and also the health data, which is shown in the bottom, which is the heart rate, the steps, and our mean speed. If I show you this one on the Pro version, you have it here as well. All right, let's start training then. You can see that the timer is counting down and the total time is also counting up. And as soon as it's time for us to do either an active resting or a resting, if something changes, the watch will vibrate and we will show that indication. We will have the health data monitored in the bottom, and also that you can see. So this is an excellent upgrade of the function that we included in our 2X model. This also will be a activity record stored as training that what we're going to show you around now inside first the watch and then the app. So our goal was to make with the S1 watches, we wanted to make a really good Spinzo watch just with today's technology and the modern equipment that comes with it. So one thing that is of course new, and we showed you around in the S1 Pro video, we're going to show you with the S1 as well, is that any training and game will become a activity record, which will be stored inside the game and app. The yellows are a training, which is basically interval training or the stopwatch, and the orange is presented as a game. So if we go into the game, we can see our health and our game data, which can be compiled as a complete match, a single period, active time, or an event log. Let's show you the complete. Here you can see the time, and we can see how many kilometers that we have been running, as well as the health status, my medium pulse and my max, calories burnt, steps, and also my mean speed. In the event log, it will track everything that we have been doing, for example, when the game was started, when the game was paused, and if we are inside the youth menu, if any of the penalties and scores were logged, this will also be stored in the event log inside the watch here. So this is something that we are super happy about, to be able to include both the health data and the game data, as well as making basically a good, clear Spinzo watch. Putting them together, we have two brand new, really good looking, smart referee watches that we are really happy and really excited to get you onto the market. Once you get your watch, you can then download our Spinzo watch app, which is available through both Google Play and the Apple Store. Once the app is downloaded, we can pair them to our watches, and in this case it will be my S1 that is paired. And then in the watch menu, we have the possibilities to change the settings inside the watch, and also some modifications that you like if you want the watch to be activated by using the wrist, for example. Inside the home menu, we'll find both our daily activities as well as records for activities as game as training. If we start by having a look at the home menu, so in the top, well, my daily activities will be presented in steps, how many kilometers I walked and how many calories I burnt during the day, as well as with activity records from the referee modes, as well as the sports mode with the health data. So my heart rate, my blood pressure, which I'm 120/80, which I was very proud of, as well as some sleep data, my body temperature and weight. Of course, we can go into any number of these and look into them into further details. And inside my profile, we can set up our length, our weight, and this is also, of course, length is especially important for the number of steps and how many kilometers that we have walked or run during the day. Now let's have a look at the activity records. Here inside the activity record, this data will be exported from your watch to your phone once either a game or a training is complete. So let's have a look at it. The yellow ones, they are training, and the orange are games. So let's say here, this is my, I was about walking for 23 minutes, and I get my steps, my pulse, my medium and my maximum pulse, as well as how fast I was walking or running and how many calories I burnt. If I want to check out the game, this will be also presented, but here we can have it also inside the different kinds of periods and with the event log that we talked about earlier as well. If this will be the youth mode, the same thing here, all goals and penalties will be registered here as well. So the main difference between the S1 and the S1 Pro that we already discussed is of course the GPS, and this will be presented like this in the app, that we can either have a kind of a GPS overlay if we want it to be in a map mode or a satellite view, as well with the health and the event log. So that's how it's presented when it's an S1 Pro watch. So this is something that we're really happy about with the S1 models, that we now can of course do the activity records and show you your health and the game status or data from the games and your training. If we are using the sports mode instead, this will be exported also to the phone and the watch, and with a little bit different kinds of presentation, but we have it in here, and this is of course then most likely for any kind of running or walking or that kind of stuff. And the same thing here, the health data will be exported. And if you have the S1 Pro, then the GPS picture as well. In the home menu, of course, we have then your activities during the day, as well as the activity records from either the sport mode or a referee mode, as well as our health data. From the so the app is available, and it can be downloaded from App Store and Google Play, and the app itself is free. So they are finally here. We are super happy to be able to show you around the S1 and the S1 Pro model. From our Retro Pro watch, this is a significant upgrade in technology, which we are super happy about, while we are been working hard to keep the classic Spinso presentation and the classic Spinso design. Again, the main difference, except for some hardware capabilities, it's the GPS in the S1 Pro that stands out from both. Lastly, I would like to just thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy the tour of the watches. And if you have any questions regarding either the S1 Pro or the S1, you are more than welcome to email us at our info address, info@spinso.com, or our social medias, or your local retailer. So thank you so much for watching, and well, we'll be back with some more content.